Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council, which schedule designated the time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. We are using an electronic amplifying and recording device, and in order to obtain an audible and clear record, we request that all those wishing to speak be recognized, state your name, and address directly into the microphone. The recording device is to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office for the preparation of the minutes and shall be the official record of the Township Council meetings. Madam Clerk, can I have a roll call?
Mr. Meunier?
Here.
Mrs. Albright Troxel? Here. Mrs. Grace Love?
Here.
Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mrs. Winters? Here. Mr. Mercado?
We'll be running late.
Mr. Parliament?
Here.
Mr. Curtis?
Here.
Chief Harkins?
Here.
Mr. Magoo?
Here. Okay, next we have our public portion. This public participation shall be for agenda items only. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once all those wishing to address council have had their turns, they may address council a second time, only if it adds to what they said earlier, not repeating earlier statements. It'll be 3 minutes per speaker for a maximum of 15 minutes. Ms. Coyne?
Good evening, Denise Coyne, Hughes Landing. Could somebody please tell me the purpose of ordinance 024-12 for streets and sidewalks?
Permit to obstruct the street.
A little bit of a history there, from my understanding, there's sometimes.
Could you use your microphone, please?
Sometimes you had situations where people would set up basketball courts in the street area and start to create, hazards and kids playing, and other obstructions that would go right into the street right-of-way area. So over the years, I would imagine this is how I interpret what this is addressing, and putting, without permits, obstacles in the street areas, courts or whatever. You see them a lot when you see residential court areas.
Okay, so it has nothing to do with sidewalks, it's only streets.
Correct. That's what obstructions that we put up without permits.
Okay. My second question revolves around Resolution 24:05-157 for the Neighborhood Preservation Revised Implementation Plan for 2024. And I did call Regina to try to get these questions answered, and she never called me back. So I'm bringing them to you because I couldn't get her. But it says in here that there's $10,000 budgeted for community engagement and public spaces. And under the description in the plan that was submitted for approval, it states that the farmers market successfully attracted visitors to the area. So I'm assuming that that $10,000 budgeted money, part of it was going to be used for the farmers market. Is that a fair assumption?
My understanding, my understanding of the funding has been going on for about a 2-year process of the application for it. It's a combination of residential as well as business. There's probably appropriated something like $5,000 for 10, 15, or 12, or 14 homes for reconditioning the front facades. There's money for businesses for the front bricking and support fronts and what have you, black brick pipe. And there's a remodeling of buildings. There's about $25,000 in remodel of the building. That's just a quick estimate from my recollection.
Okay, but I'm speaking specifically about the community engagement and public spaces part of that budget, for which there's $10,000 allocated.
It's parking facility. Yes, we were gonna say something.
Regina did get that message, she was on call up until almost when we came into the workshop meeting, so she is going to call you tomorrow with all of that information and answer any questions that you have.
Okay,
Thank you. Your time is up.
thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Burns, did you have anything?
Yes.
Good evening, Council. Brian Burns, this Longwood Drive and Aerial. Resolution 24:05-164. I read the words. I believe I understand what it means, but could you elaborate on that exactly, what that means?
This is for the playground improvements. Celebration.
No, this is the enabling resolution of the State of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for Green Acres.
Mr. Garza?
But yes, but it's required, and it's relative to those two playgrounds, Sturbridge Oaks and Mulberry Station. This is required by Green Acres, this resolution.
That's the agreement you just signed.
Oh, okay,
This is the
that's the
resolution.
grant, yes, that is,
Yeah.
legal formality.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Well, I'm sorry, I was asked to sign approval. So while we're waiting for the meeting to start, I looked through the normal clauses that they put in there for Green Acres, legal issues, requirements, determination, like that. That's what I paid special attention. So I was just responding to questions.
This is the resolution for the agreement that was just signed by Mr. Carlinier for the loan and the grant of the two playground equipments, Mulberry and Sturbridge Oaks.
Which is also tied into ordinance O-24-10, which is on the agenda tonight.
I hear the words you're saying. But Resolution 164 doesn't say anything about playgrounds.
Telling you that these are related to those playgrounds. This resolution in its format came from Green Acres.
Okay, so it's
Right in the bottom.
We're passing a resolution enabling Green Acres to fund playgrounds, is that what you're saying?
In order for us to receive the funds for these playgrounds,
Okay,
yes, these two projects, there is additional playground equipment that is being installed in each one of these to make it completely compliant with Green Acres, and so that it can be a recipient of these funds.
okay, I got you. All right, so 164 is related to 165. 165 refers to Al's Rawls play structure?
Different playgrounds.
Okay.
They're different.
Okay.
It's related to ordinance O-24-10.
Okay, because it was a great fuzzy area, 164 doesn't say anything about playgrounds.
It does under number one, Mr. Burns.
Okay.
Number one, yeah.
I got you. Okay, thank you for your time.
Any other views?
Hi, I'm Anita Joy Morrison, La Cascada homeowners. We're having trouble hearing, what you guys are saying in the back. I just wanted to let you know that first. The second thing is, Chief, I just wanted to throw this in. Thank you very much, you and your men, for your hard work with the recent arrest. We're thrilled. Third thing is, okay, so I was reading here, Gloucester Township 2024 Road Improvement Program, and I would hope that there was at least a couple of coins in there for our road going through La Cascada. We just recently, 3 days ago, completed a $1 million project that included paving every one of our parking lots over the past 2.5 years. Okay, the project's done, but like I said the last time, you don't see the beauty of the parking lots because when you pull in Via Cascada is a disaster. The potholes, the missing pavement, the patch jobs, it's horrifying. I can't even describe it. You're lucky your car gets to the parking lot. Never mind see the beauty that American Asphalt has done for us. Okay, it's really, it's been repaved, they've been repainted, there's new numbers up, it's really gorgeous, but when you come into the development, the road, I can't even describe it, it hasn't been paved in over 45 years. I'm here tonight with several members of our Board of Trustees, they're here, say hi, and we're asking, we've been asking for 9 years now, we get nothing else. We ask for nothing else in our development. Well, that's not true. We ask for police work. We get that. But what I'm saying is, this is the one thing that I've only ever come to the town council for over the past 9 years.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bill, but this is in this budget, this capital budget for design. Therefore, it will be in the 2025 for construction. So it is moving forward, yes.
Okay.
It's on this paper that we just discussed at our workshop tonight.
So do I have like tears of happiness now, or should I wait till I sit down so I don't embarrass myself? So, thank you very, very much. This is beyond good news. I'm thrilled to death. I have goosebumps. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yay! Oh, sorry.
Anyone else? Sir, Exie, next time.
Good evening. Ira Eckstein, Glen Oaks. Resolution 2405-159. $329,000 for a front end loader.
John, you're.
Yes, if that's what they have in there, that's the price they have, yes.
What do we need it for? What's it gonna do? What?
I don't have the specifics in terms of what jobs they're gonna use. I'm sure it's gonna be used for multiple jobs.
Is there any way I can get a more direct answer?
Yeah, you could have emailed me, you could have called me, but I would get that for you and get back to you if you like.
Would you please?
I would definitely do that.
Thank you. Next one is 2405-160. For a light structure system for $234,000.
Yeah, Dan, I will get back to you on that one also.
One more. Well, there's a,
Let me jump back to 160 if I might.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a multi-year project. It is this year and next year. And the goal is to light the artificial field at the TBAA Valuable Complex. This first phase will be constructed of basically putting the 8 concrete bases down, running the conduit under the existing field, doing the wiring, and also setting up the panel for the light.
okay,
Next year, we'll fund the balance of that project and hopefully have those lights up and running for next year.
okay, that's perfect. Last one I got is 2405-163.
Same thing, we'll get back to on both of those.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, Ms. Smithman.
Hello, my name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex on Millbrook Court, Clementon, New Jersey. My question for the agenda items is just this, that these council meetings, from what I understand, are scheduled. You can, in advance, if you can make it to this Gloucester Township Municipality building, review the agenda items, but if not, you're only capable to read them while you're here. Is there any reason why Mr. Curtis can't answer the questions that were asked to him of what the spending for the township? that was just made?
Because I do not have the information. As I indicated, Mr. Eckstein, I will get back to him with an answer. If I do not have an answer, I'm not going to just make something up for you. I'm going to get it, research it, and find out exactly what he wants to know.
But the questions are public and the answer should be public also. I'm a member of the public and I would like to know what the answer is as well. If you answer him personally, that's not part of the purpose of the meeting for the township council.
I have no problem answering in front of the council for the next council. Not a problem.
You said you would get back to that person directly, but the question is for the,
Everybody here, and whoever's at the council.
excuse me, I was speaking.
the next
I was speaking. The answer should be for everybody that is attending, all the citizens in this township.
That's what I'm saying, but that's not.
Well, no, you indicated that he could have emailed you. Not everyone has access to the World Wide Web. And quite frankly, not everybody has access to the United States Postal Service, as you would think.
I invite him to email me, I invite him to call me, he can contact me anyway.
That is a person-to-person communication. This is a council meeting for the citizens of this township. I'm here attending this meeting. The answers to the questions should be for everyone, especially when it comes to a purchase greater than $300,000 that you don't have an answer for.
And if I don't have the answer. I
My name
will
is
get
Shaughnessy
the answer
Smithman,
back.
Mr.
I'll
Cordes.
answer the question.
That was for the front loader. Tom has it, Public Works, the Public Works Supervisor lets them know they need it. We got the bid and
Okay, what is the purpose of that large purchase?
Multiple, that has multiple purposes, I just don't.
Name
have
one.
those. I don't have this right now, and I told you, you're not satisfied.
I would just like to know what the answer to one purpose for that large
I'm
amount of
not
purchase.
answering your question.
These items on
My name is
the
Shaughnessy
capital
Smithman.
budget, which we had at the workshop a few weeks back, to open to the public, that you could ask any question you'd like about that purchase.
No, the people attending those meetings are not permitted to ask questions. There's no public portion for workshops.
Yes, there are.
Which- There's a public portion, but you're not allowed to question the agendas.
Ms. Smith, I've answered.
There is a public portion for non-agenda items only. There is not a portion for anyone to question anything that is
Time
attended at the
up.
meeting.
That'll conclude.
Thank you.
Motion. Next, we have proclamation, Madam Clerk, National Nurses Month.
Whereas the American Nurses Association has annually celebrated nurses the week of May 6th through 12th as Nurses Week, and for the past 3 years chose to celebrate the entire month of May. And whereas this year's month-long theme, Nurses Make a Difference, honors the varying roles of nurses and their positive impact on our lives as trusted advocates to ensure individuals, families, and communities receive quality patient care services. And whereas the depth and breadth of the registered nursing profession meets the different and emerging healthcare needs of the American population in a wide range of settings, including the front line of the pandemic. And whereas professional nursing is an indispensable component of the safety and quality of the care of hospitalized and non-hospitalized patients. And whereas the demand for registered nurses services will be greater than ever because of an aging population, emerging healthcare challenges, the continuing expansion of life-sustaining technologies, and the explosive growth of healthcare services. And whereas along the American Nurses Association, Township of Gloucester has declared May as Nurses Month to promote the appreciation for nurses, their unparalleled impact during the pandemic and their contributions to healthcare, and an open invitation, #Thank a Nurse, for enriching our lives and the world we live in. Now therefore be it resolved that David R. Mayor of the Township of Gloucester, and Orlando Mercado, President of Council, hereby proclaim May 2024 as National Nurses Month in the Township of Gloucester, and ask that all residents celebrate Registered Nurses Month's accomplishments and efforts to improve our healthcare system and show our appreciation for the nation's registered nurses, not just during this week, but at every opportunity throughout the year.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we have a ordinance, a second reading. There will be a public hearing for this. This is ordinance -24-10, bond ordinance authorizing the completion of various park improvements in the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, appropriating the sum of $586,521. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes of the township of Gloucester, county of Camden, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount of up to $146,630. Making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. We discussed this a little bit ago. It's a, for the bond for Sturbridge, the parks in Sturbridge and Mulberry Station. Anything else you want to add to that, Mr. Carter? We open now for public discussion. Amy?
My first thing is I want to make sure this is on record, and this is addressed to the chief of police. When I called out an incident report of a man shooting a gun at 661.
Ms. Dandy, is this about?
Oh, no, not about the bond.
This is
I
about
thought it
this
was a public meeting. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
no, this is about this specific ordinance.
No, that's okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. They have a motion to accept the second reading for O-24-10. In favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Okay, next we have an ordinance. This is a first reading introduction, O-24-11. This is an ordinance amending chapter 75 of the Code of Township of Gloucester entitled Swimming Pools of the Code Book of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, and State of New Jersey. This amendment to the policy about public safety and clean water. I have a motion to accept the O-24-11.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Mercado? Oops, sorry.
Next, we have ordinance -24-12. It's an ordinance amending chapter 72 of the Code of the Township of Gloucester entitled Streets and Sidewalks. As discussed earlier, this is a permit to not allow obstruction of the streets, specifically the basketball courts. Do I have a motion to accept ordinance -24-12?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second? Roll call?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Next, we have waived reading and accepted minutes, workshop meeting April 8th, 2024, and council meeting April 8th, 2024, and council meeting April 22nd, 2024. Do I have a motion to accept the workshop and the council meetings? Is there a second? You get a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
I'm abstaining from April 22nd, accepting.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Next, we have our bid report.
Gloucester Township 2024 Road Improvement Program.
Do I have a motion to adopt the bid report?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Next, we have a consent agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion and second.
Roll call, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Mignon?
Yes.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Yes.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes.
Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
Yes.
Next, we have some GTE goals. There was two. First one is from David Leader, 1105 Huntington Avenue, Glendora, New Jersey, 08029. Please provide a detailed report of why the township wants to sell the MUA. The answer is provided is there is no MUA. It is a sewer utility owned and operated by the township of Gloucester. The authority was dissolved by the New Jersey Local Finance Board in early 2023. The sale of the sewer utility is exploratory. Sale must be approved by the Office of the State Comptroller and then advertised for a 6-week period. Bids will be received by the township. Based on those bids, the township may proceed with the adoption of an ordinance to place a referendum on the November 2024 ballot. Voters of Gloucester Township will decide the sewer utility should be sold. There is no detailed report of why the township wants to sell the MUA. Next question is, what services does the MUA perform for the township and citizens directly? The employees and contractors work for the sewer utility department to maintain and operate 51 pump stations and various piping that conveys sewerage to the Camden County system. Sewer utility employees also serve the home sewer line from the area between the curb line and sidewalk on an as-needed basis. This service requires the homeowner to sign a hold harmless agreement between the homeowner and the township. His other question is, if it was sold, what services will the township continue to provide the citizens directly? If the system is sold to a private company, the township may continue to service the home sewer lines of the residents of Gloucester Township upon execution of a hold harmless agreement. And then he proceeds to say, I will need to know all these answers before I can vote on the sale in the next election. Next is from David Leader, again, 1105 Huntington Avenue, Glendora, New Jersey, 08229. He says, please provide details of the reasons the township is putting the MUA up for private, parentheses, non-government sale. The answer provided is there is no MUA. It is a sewer utility owned and operated by the Township of Gloucester. The authority was dissolved by the New Jersey Local Finance Board in early 2023. The sale of the sewer utility is exploratory. The sale must be approved by the Office of the State Comptroller and then advertised for a 6-week period. Bids were received by the township. Based on those bids, the township may proceed with the adoption of an ordinance to place a referendum on the November 2024 ballot. The voters of Gloucester Township will decide the sewer utility should be sold. If the voters of Gloucester Township approve the sale, then by the law proceeds, the sale must be used to pay the debt of the sewer utility and the debt of the Township of Gloucester. It is the intent of the Township Council to present factual information to the voters of Gloucester Township so they will be able to make an informed decision to sell or not sell the sewer utility. And he proceeds to say, I will need these details in order to make an educated vote when I vote on the MUA sale at the next election. Okay, next we have our public portion. Public participation, which shall be any item public chooses to address to the Township Council. Anyone addressing council may speak one time. Once others wishing to address council have had their turns and may address council a second time, only if it adds to what was said earlier, not repeating an earlier statement. It'll be a 5 minutes per speaker for a total of 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna have this on record, but, Gloucester Township Police came out 11.
What's your name? I'm sorry.
Danny Powers, 507 Millbridge Road, in the Millbridge Apartments. I used to live in Stratford, but I moved into Millbridge. I gave my son my house when my husband died. Okay, 11/5/2023. There was an incident, about 3 or 4 or 5 of my neighbors called into the police department about a man who shoots a gun off at apartment 661. 2 years ago in Millbridge Apartments, the man actually threatened a lifeguard at the pool and was thrown out and got in trouble. The man has been living there for 2 years, and when the police came, okay, they came to my door, knocked on the door, and said, how can you hear a gunshot down at 661? I'm 507. So I know, and I have no hearing aids, and I don't wear glasses. So I've been very healthy all my life, thank God. I'm hereditary, I have a good family, and I was an exercise science professor. I did free training for the police academy, free for the prosecutor's office for 20 years, and trained all the police recruits. I also did free 10 years for Jennifer McLaughlin, who was here, undercover drug task forcing for the police station, free. I was embarrassed, harassed, degraded, and they were supposed to be wearing their body cams. So to make a long story short, when the police came to my door, they knocked on my door after they went to the house and said, are you a racist? I said, am I a racist? No. I'm Jewish. I have 2 African-American children that I'm babysitting for a week because my friends are away on vacation. I'm going to tell you straight. I don't lie. I'm God-fearing. I don't date. I've been single since 2018. So the officers, I'm not going to name them because I just want this on record, okay? Because I am going to go to a criminal attorney and I'm going to give a civil suit to this township. So this officer okay, with another officer, detective, that I trained at the academy, was there, and he said, Danny, just don't mind him. I said, fine. So next thing that happened was they took me in a car and drove me around and asked me to point out the building. I pointed out the building and his cars. I said, 2 years ago, he had an altercation with the lifeguard, okay? When I went back, I get out of the car and another police officer comes up in the middle of the street with all my neighbors outside. I was a professor at Camden County College for 50 years, holds up a tablet and says to me, are you gonna kill somebody or are you gonna kill somebody or kill somebody else? Or are you gonna kill yourself? I said, what's this all about? Why are you doing this to me? Okay, so that went on. After that, he comes up to me and he says, if you ever do this again and call in about a gun, 4 other people called in that day. 4 other people, and I'm gonna get the records for that. I get a false report back. Nothing happened from the camcorders. Nothing happened. It was a false report, and 20 different police officers came back and forth and back and forth. I get a bill from Twin Oaks Mental Wellness Center. But that wasn't on the report. I get a bill for $25 that day, 11/5. I called the president of Twin Oaks. She says, I'm so sorry. My whole life was actually in front of everybody that day. I have 3 witnesses what was done to me, okay? I have the whole report, what was done to me. There was lies. I don't know where the camcorders are, but I'm gonna have an Oprah report. I want the Oprah report from the camcorders. Chief of Police and Sergeant Dockery, they sent it up to the prosecutor's office, who I worked for 20 years, to have it looked at. There was nothing on the camcorders. Where did the camcorders go? The body cams go? I'm just asking where the body cams went. Did they disappear? You don't want to mess with me, because the reason why I fought the adult bookstore for 20 years, all of them came in county, and I got rid of them after 10 years. I fought the mob, and I got rid of them. So I'm not playing with this, because you ruined my reputation, and I don't like this. The other thing I wanted to bring up is the Gems landfill. I called up the woman who was the town's clerk, and I asked her when the last time they tested the water out there, because it's aqua water, and I'm calling it aqua water because that's a very, very contaminated site underneath it. So I want to know when the last time since 1982, when you put the cap on, when that water was tested. That's all I wanted to say. But I'm glad I put that on record, because now it's going up to my criminal attorney for the township and for here.
Ms. Polidoro?
Good evening, Council. Ray Polidoro from the Historic Village of Ariel. Let me start off by saying belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in the room. We could never thank you enough for all that you do for us. The one thing that I was a little curious about is Mr. Cardis's response to Mr. Eckstein was regarding sending an email in for questions of monetary value, whereas you guys in council are voting for that. Could not council have answered that question as well, means that you're voting for it? It would make it look like at least you know what's going on, that the administration's handing down to you, that you're voting on. It just would seem a little more sensible than to have the administration explain that he couldn't answer because he or chose not to answer, whichever the case may have been regarding that, because there's no email. But maybe for the future, if you're voting on it, maybe one of you guys could step up and answer that question, especially when it involves a lot of money. The other question that I also have is regarding the MUA. And I'm not picking on you, but a very well written and rehearsed answer that you gave, that the MUA is not the MUA anymore. We're referring to them as utility. You destroyed the MUA, but it was formerly the MUA. You dissolved them. So let's at least presume that you know what the people are talking about when they send that email in, and not just sidestep it to repackage it to what you guys have created by dissolving the MUA. That being said, your answer was regarding the MUA in moving forward in your hurry to try and sell them, that you had dialogue back and forth between township and the comptroller's office. I would like to know, at least in some summary, what's transpiring in the dialogue between you and the comptroller's office. I would like the council to answer first and then the administration. So I want to know what you guys know. I know what the administration knows.
I know there was a brief discussion this week.
I'm sorry.
There
speak
was
up,
a
please.
brief discussion this week with the comptroller. Mr. Carson.
I'm gonna defer to Mr. Wagner, but I would make a comment before I do.
Mhm.
The township has engaged an attorney, so any discussions.
Can't hear you.
Any discussions between the attorney for the township, which is represented through the law firm of Hawkins, Delafield and Wood. Any discussion between the attorney and the comptroller's office right now would be under attorney-client privilege until such time as it moves out of the comptroller's office.
So the comptroller usually will question the township that, for accountability and things of that nature. So it would lead me to believe that it's not going as smooth as you guys would like. And that makes me happy. I also am interested in, if it's not attorney-client privilege, also I'd like to know if the PUC has any involvement in what's going on with your wanting to sell off the former MUA known as utility. Does the PUC have any active role in this?
The what?
PUC.
Or, the BPU.
All the same.
No. Do you want me to answer or?
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to. No, go ahead.
So the discussion that I had with Mr. Mercado last year about the potential of putting the sewer utility up for sale, dealt with determining what the value of it is, which nobody knows what the value is at this point. And seems to be a lot of people against allowing the public to know what that value is, and then to make an intelligent decision based on that information, and then vote on that in a referendum. So it seems to me, whatever I'm hearing here, what I see it going on is an attempt to suppress the public involvement. Why would you not want the public to have an opportunity to know the value and then to make an intelligent decision? No.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. I stand here before council tonight to ask you what guarantee you will give the people of Gloucester Township that this will go on in a referendum, that there will not be some attempt or some loophole that will allow you to bypass the people of Gloucester Township and do away with what was a well-oiled machine. If there's that much of a chance, and that is a guarantee that the people of Gloucester Township, we don't want you to sell it at all, but we'll get a say.
If it goes to referendum.
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Glad to hear that. Thank you. And again, ladies, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Smith?
Good evening, council. My name is Shaughnessy Smithman. I live in the SDK Millbridge Gardens apartment complex, number 341. It's located on Millbrook Court. The address is written at least 2 different ways. I'm still having complications with that. I did hear a congratulations to the Gloucester Township Police Department for a job well done, and I also heard somebody having some discrepancies with the way that their performance is. When it comes to audio or video recordings that are still fairly new to law enforcement, they don't always necessarily need to be worn in order for the local police and detectives to have a really good understanding of what actually happened. There are some things, though, when it comes to the members of the community, the public that lives here, the citizens like myself, you do need to speak directly with them, such as myself when I had things that I tried to bring to light with the Gloucester Township Police Department. It does cause some complications for both the people that live and try to work within the community. I cannot return to work. I'm actually being forced to not be able to return to gainful employment because I cannot get my credentials properly put back in place. I have no criminal record. There's really no reason for it. But I have heard things like this before, where there was an instance where a man was in a vehicle and there was a local police officer also in a vehicle. They came in like, is this perpendicular? When it comes into like a 90-degree angle is that perpendicular? Yeah, he pulled into a four-way stop sign. And the officer pulled in also at the same time, and the officer gave a motion for the vehicle to continue ahead of him. And then as soon as he went through the intersection, the officer pulled him over and gave him a ticket. And he asked the officer, he said, please, why is he writing the ticket? He said that he did not come to a complete stop. So he was at that crossroad. While it doesn't seem to be very significant in life, it seems to happen quite often where, there was an agreement for the person to move forward. But then he wrote a ticket saying he didn't come to a complete stop. Well, the officer was right there. You could see that the intersection was clear. I think that's called entrapment. Is it not? Like not to be completely definitive and just brass on the rules which need to be followed exactly, but when it comes to certain things, it can turn into that. So these things need to be discussed and looked over. Because if there's an illegal situation going and the police tell someone to go ahead, especially something like a four-way stop, well, if they knew it was illegal and they didn't discuss it, with the roads, the streets department, they didn't discuss it with the other citizens and anything, told them they could go and then penalize them for it. Sometimes the penalty is not always a ticket. It can be much more severe than that. Does council agree with that type of situation? That the authority having jurisdiction of the situation motions and tells them to go ahead and then writes them a ticket saying that, oh, they didn't go ahead the wrong way. They didn't do it wrong the correct way. And then holds them fully liable. Because it could turn into something like somebody being arrested. Maybe not always necessarily through the channels of the law's man. Does council agree with that? Is that this council?
Mr. President, I have no comment on the incident. I didn't see it. We're taking your word for it. I have no comment for it.
Well, say somebody stole somebody's identity and the police were involved. And the police told somebody else to go ahead and let them take it. And then as soon as they did, they arrested them. Because then the police aren't liable anymore for their involvement. Even if it was a small portion of it, they never actually discussed it with the person whose identity they actually stole to see if any type of compromise could be had. They just didn't want themselves to be in trouble. Would you agree to that? To do the illegal thing the correct way, and then to just get somebody else come in and let them take the arrest and fall?
I have no comment.
Yeah.
Sorry. Your time is up. Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Burns?
Good evening, Council. Brian Burns again, Salwood Drive and Ariel. I was just checking for updates on the Murray and Hayes properties, Green Acres purchase, either Mr. Carly or Mr. Cardis, any updates?
Nothing new on my side, just the last recollection I had, is the information from grants.
I believe it's moving along.
Okay.
Green Acres seems to be satisfied with the pace it's moving. I saw some emails today from Jesse, back and forth. But again, I believe it's moving along fine.
Okay, I was in the field today with representatives of U.S. Fish and Wildlife and DEP, land use. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's actually a lawsuit with the DEP and Pannoni Builders. Are you familiar with that? Okay, this is information I'd like to share with you. So my research shows that Pannoni is an established builder in the township. He was the builder of a Little Mill Estates, or Hidden Mill, the townhouses there. And he violated wetlands protocols way back in 2003. And this litigation is still going on at the present time. He is being sued for the amount of $500,000 for his wetland violations. With that in mind and my passion for preserving our natural resources, I was curious if council has any vetting process for builders who want to build in the township, given situations like this where, you know, they're being sued now because they were not in compliance with land use, policies and variances that were given. Is there a vetting process for builders that you can look at their past history, and if they have lawsuits from the DEP or other blemishes on their record, you can say, we don't want you in the township? That's actually a 454-page report. You can go online, you can find it. I read up to about 250 so far.
With all due respect to your knowledge and experience, I don't think anyone on council can answer that just by reading the caption.
Sure.
And then it says enclosed, please find a case information statement, order to show cause, verified complaint, brief exhibits, and proposed form of order regarding the above captioned matter, which is an order to show cause. Unless you know what certifications and attachments are to that, the question really can't be answered.
Well, I understand, but I didn't want to bring in 454 pages and a copy for everyone.
Your question,
I guess my question is, does council know that Pinoni Builders is being sued by the DEP?
I did not know that.
Okay, well, you know that now, and you should be aware of it. And, you know, I am passionate, maybe obsessive with preserving what natural resources that we have. And council should be aware that, you know, there are builders that, you know, don't follow the rule. And the DEP doesn't have the manpower to go around to every single site in the state where construction is taking place and monitor and enforce their policies, unfortunately. They rely on the integrity of the builder to do that. So this goes, you can look it up, it's 454 pages. I'm up to about page 250, 300 now. And, you know, it bothers me that this takes place in the township in which I work so hard to preserve what natural resources we have left.
Has there been a ruling on this case yet?
No,
Okay,
yeah, this
so
is
he's not
just,
guilty of anything as of yet.
not yet. Yeah, but
also, I'm sure you appreciate, I don't know any, I don't know what he's about, I know he does developments and all. But when these developers come before your local zoning or planning board, they come with engineers and
sure,
environmentalists, and they put out their facts.
Right.
Now, sometimes when they're in their development, the developer maybe causes a spill or flow improperly or whatever. That's not something you can say, planning board is gonna know that this developer is gonna do that. Because not only the developer testifies, but the architects testify, the engineers testify, the environmentalists testify. So that's, planning board rely on all those type of information.
right. But my question is there a vetting process for builders to look at their past history to make sure that they don't have any blemishes on their record that it could impact your community? I'm assuming there is none. Well, I'm bringing this to your attention because maybe you should pass a resolution that builders will be vetted going forward. So if they have blemishes on their record, maybe we say, no, we don't want you building in our community. We'll find somebody else. Thank you for your time.
Mrs. Coyne?
Denise Coyne, Choose Landing. Just to follow up on Brian's comments, Panonis have been named redevelopers by council in a number of development areas in the township. So it's not like that's only useful information for the planning board. They come in front of council and ask to be named redevelopers and have been. So I think that's pertinent information for council also. And as far as these resolutions for spending $500,000 on equipment that we can't get answers tonight as far as what the equipment is for, I find it very concerning that this was approved by all you guys, $500,000 on equipment, and nobody knows what it's for.
So we had a capital budget meeting, and we spoke with all the supervisors of these departments. And they had a detailed breakdown of what instances and what they're gonna be using the equipment for. We went through hundreds and hundreds of pieces of
So
equipment.
can you tell me what this is for?
It's used for baseball fields, it's used for road repairs. It's
What
used
is used for
for front
baseball
loader.
fields?
The John Deere, I just, yeah, I'm not an expert per se, but they use that for many different projects across the community, across the township.
Okay, what about these
Snow plow, snow removal.
side loader and a drive cab and chassis?
Yeah, that is for recycling.
And no recycle.
Both of them?
Yes,
Okay.
both for recycling.
Okay, well, those would be useful answers to somebody who's asking what you're spending this money for, but to
Nothing.
hear, you
Why
should
would
have
that?
emailed me, like, you gotta be kidding. This is on the agenda for tonight, why are you telling people you should have emailed? Excuse me?
You've emailed in advance.
But why are we responsible to email you to get answers on something that's on an agenda for approval?
In-depth response to what the
It's not an
question is.
in-depth response, it's what's it for?
What are the uses?
It's $500,000, what is it for?
There are a lot of uses, so I'm going to get you all those.
Okay, but if it's on the agenda, you should be able to provide the
By the way, it will
answers.
be also shared with the sewer utility. They'll be using that. for-
Okay, but it's troubling when somebody asks these questions and they don't get an answer. And then all you guys approve it. You don't know what it's for. Nobody got an answer. It's already been approved and now we're getting an answer.
And it was also-
You guys voted just to approve it before anybody knew what it was even for.
That's not true.
$500,000.
That's not true.
Okay,
We had a
that was
capital budget
certainly
meeting.
the appearance. Okay, and to continue, as far as the MUA, somebody sent in an e-gov and asked questions regarding why it's being sold. Okay, I understand you may not be able to give a detailed explanation tonight, but give us a clue. That's the number one question. Why are you selling our sewer utility? Why? Generally, why do you want to sell it?
We're not exploring it. We're exploring.
Why?
Why shouldn't?
Why?
Why shouldn't you?
Why
the
should you is the
public
question.
not know what the value of the system is?
How are we gonna,
Should they not have a vote?
it's my 5 minutes. Can I finish my question, please?
You don't see it.
I want to finish my question. We want to know generally why the township is exploring selling our sewer utility. And for you to say that the public should know what it's worth how? Are you using fair market value? Are you using book value? How are you valuing our sewer utility? And the reality is, if I lived in a house and somebody came to me and said, I'm gonna value your house at $1 million, and they gave me $1 million for my house and then told me that I could stay in it, but I would have to rent it back. And I would have to pay them $20,000 a month to live in my own house that was bought and paid for. What difference does it make what you're gonna sell it for? We don't wanna sell it. So the question is, why is council considering selling off our sewer utility? Why? Generally, why are you doing that?
We are exploring what the value is of the sewer utility as an asset. And we're doing that for all of the public, for all of the voters, for all of the taxpayers. And that value then will be placed on a referendum if it's approved, and if it's approved by the comptroller's office, and it moves that far ahead that it's a referendum on the November ballot. It will have a question, it will have a value, and then people will make an educated, a decision on their own when they go into that voting booth and when they fill out that mail-in ballot. And that's what they have a right to do. And if they vote no, then you are correct, it should not have been sold. But if they vote yes, then maybe it should have been sold.
You didn't answer my question.
And you don't want to hear that answer.
That wasn't an answer to my
So
question.
why?
It was gaslighting. It was not answer to my question.
Should know, right? Don't know.
They need it back, and you'll be the last speaker.
Good evening, council. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kate Delaney. I am the South Jersey organizer with New Jersey Food and Water Watch. We are a national nonprofit, and we do a lot of work about protecting public water systems, including wastewater systems. And I have the good fortune to connect with many residents here in Gloucester Township who are concerned about the potential sale of the sewer system, and they have good reason to be really concerned. I'm very concerned to hear a lack of answer as to why you're exploring this. I'm just saying you can do it is not a reason to do it. And there's some info I would like to share with all of you and also with everybody in the room. So again, New Jersey Food and Water Watch, part of the National Food and Water Watch, we believe that public systems need to be protected for a number of reasons, because it is a public asset, because it often means the loss of local union jobs, and also because it means higher sewer bills for residents. This is inevitable when systems are sold. Private corporations are responsive to their shareholders, so they're in the business of making money. So I want to share some stats that we came up with at Food and Water Watch after very extensive research. So again, speaking to the higher sewer bills that you would be putting upon your residents, the two largest investor-owned utilities in New Jersey charge 2 to 3.5 times as much as Gloucester Township charges a typical household for sewer collection services. Households in nearby communities with private sewer systems are paying $171 to $276 a year more than Gloucester Township households for sewer collection service. Gloucester Township charges households $46 a quarter for sewer collections service. This is $184 a year. New Jersey American Water currently charges a typical Haddonfield household $29.58 a month, or $355 a year, nearly twice as much as Gloucester Township charges. And the company is currently seeking an additional 50% rate hike that will bring the annual sewer collection bill in Haddonfield up to $534 a year. Aqua New Jersey charges single-family houses a fixed sewer rate of $38.35 a month, or $460 a year, 2.5 times as much as Gloucester Township charges for sewer collection service. So this is really going to be shackling your residents with a much higher sewer bill. And again, to echo the questions Denise has raised, I don't hear a good reason being expressed as to why you were doing this, why you're selling a public asset. I've seen other municipalities trying to do this simply to plug a budget, a hole in the budget, or to avoid raising taxes, but this is not a good answer. Again, it could mean the loss of local jobs, which is something that hopefully you're concerned about. And I think, the elephant in the room is that, of course, your mayor, David Mayer, works for New Jersey American Water in the government relations role, so clear conflict of interest. And finally, and lastly, since you did say that the local finance board dissolved the MUA, I think it's important to note that it began here, though, right? It's not like the state jumped in. I had the opportunity, as well as other residents, to look at reports about the sewer system. And it's operating well, so this is a needless sale. So I would encourage you to really put your residents first and not to sell off a public utility and raise their bills. And I would encourage residents to get informed and to know that this is a bad deal. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Mr. Carlin,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Curtis,
Nothing at this time.
Chief Harkins.
Good evening, council. First, I want to extend our appreciation on behalf of the men and women of the Gloucester Township Police Department. We lost a real icon for us and for the community last week. Chief John Stolzheimer, who is chief of police from 1992 to 2006, passed away. We buried him last week. And I just want to thank all the outpouring of support that we received from the community members. I know the family appreciated it. I know Chief Stolzheimer spent a lot of time in this room every Monday night. I know Mrs. Albright Troxel, Mr. Cardis, Mr. Carlemere all experienced his true leadership. So, we will continue to mourn him and remember him and honor him as a great community member here in Gloucester Township. I also want to invite the public as well as council. I know you're aware. We're celebrating National Police Week this week, and we will be having our annual awards night this Thursday at 7 p.m. at Timber Creek High School in the auditorium. That event is open to the public, and we certainly invite all to come and hear of all the great work as we honor the men and women that are getting honored from the Gloucester Township Police Department, as well as citizens and some other law enforcement officers from other agencies that have contributed to the well-being of this community. And so you'll get firsthand to see and hear some of the great work that these men and women of the Gloucester Township Police Department do all throughout the past year, and all the sacrifice that they do and put their lives on the line every day for the good of this community. And so I just want to invite the public, 7 o'clock Thursday, Timber Creek High School, as we celebrate our annual awards night. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Mr. Riddle?
Nothing to add, thank you.
Mr. Lanier?
I just want to say, happy belated Mother's Day, as you stated earlier, right? And then happy Nurses Week and happy Hospital Week to all our nurses and allied professionals. Thank you. Have a great night, great week.
Mrs. Albright Troxel?
Condolences to his well-fire family. The chief is a great chief. We've been blessed in this township to have many really good chiefs of police. And that's why we call the veteran community with lots of churches and the state. I went to my local fire companies. It's called the Tower Ladder 82 Housing. I had never been to one before, and it was very interesting. They bought a new ladder, a new truck, and they push it out. And then they said, all the men push it back in. Well, I looked at this truck and realized they couldn't push this truck in. So one guy is in the truck, he's actually put it in reverse, and the other guys just sort of push it along. They're not really doing it. And then at the end, they have a little celebration, and it was just a wonderful event. I even got to meet the person, I don't remember if anybody still believes in Santa, but I met Santa's double, let's say, who comes every year on the truck around our development, and I'm not sure if he goes to yours or not, if you live in my town, in my area. And they throw candy canes to us, and they wish us a Merry Christmas. And it's just a good fire company, and all the fire companies in this town are very good, they're very efficient. If there's a fire, they're there. I had a fire in my house years ago when I lived in Glen High. They were there within not even a minute and a half. And they saved my son, they saved me, and they saved my house. So once you have a fire in your house, you never forget it. And you always appreciate the value of firemen and policemen because they work in unison when there's something like that. So everyone have a good night. I hope you all had a good Mother's Day.
Mrs. Grace Love?
Yes, happy National Police Week and condolences to our officers who lost. It's a great one for our township. Happy Nurses Week month, and thank you for being servants for our patients and our families and our friends, taking good care of them. Our 2 nurses here in council. I tried to nurse my mother this weekend because she was sick, and I'm amazed on how you all do such great work. So thank you again for all that you do. And I want everyone to have a great week. Thank you for your input tonight. Thank you for your input tonight and allowing us to have more insight in the things that we do. We'll take all of those things and research a little more. So I want everyone to have a good night. And again, happy, I hope you all had a great Mother's Day weekend with your families and friends. Thank you very much.
Mr. Nash?
Just want to say thanks for coming out, guys, and have a great week.
Mrs. Walters? I hope everybody has a great week. Thank you for coming out and giving us your input. Thank you. Mrs. Reynolds?
I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank the police for everything that they do along the fire. Gloucester Township, the Hockey Association finished their Nationals week this past Sunday. A little smaller of a tournament than it normally is due to the national organization issues that are happening. But Gloucester Township there were 8 divisions. Gloucester Township won 3 of those. Teams from Pittsburgh were there. They won 2 of those tournaments. Waddleton was there. There were teams there from New York. And then there was a team of, miscellaneous players because they're one of the towns that they're having a little disagreement with. So the players wanted to play. So they came in independently, not part of their town, so that they could play, because that's what it's all about. So I was glad to see that, and they actually won a tournament, so they were very proud of themselves. I saw it on Facebook. And, hopefully they can work through the disagreements that are happening within the national organization. But, always a good job, and the league does a great job with their players, and that's why it's grown so much. And we've taken a lot of players, not taken, but a lot of players have come over from other towns because of the coaching and the way the league is run here. So I like them, I like the way they run their organization, and they do a great job for the kids. And thank everyone for coming out. Have a good week.
Motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? Have a great night.